You know that feeling, right? You order something from halfway across the world, you see it zipping through tracking updates, and then it just stops. Stuck, just a few miles away. Today, we're cracking the code of global trade to figure out why the last mile is so often the longest. So, let's dive into this wild world of trade packs, customs, and why it all matters to that package you're waiting for. I mean, seriously, think about it. The click of a button, instantaneous. Your payment goes through in a flash. But the actual physical journey of that thing you just bought, well, that's a completely different ballgame. This weird paradox, this gap between digital speed and physical slowness, is the puzzle we're going to piece together today. And the reason for that puzzle, it really boils down to one word: friction. It's like sludge in the gears of the entire global economy. Every little delay, every extra piece of paper, every confusing rule just adds more time and more cost. It gums up the works. And believe me, countries and companies are in this constant, high-stakes fight to scrape that sludge out. So how do you even begin to solve a puzzle that massive? One that involves pretty much every country on the planet? Well, the first move is to think big. I mean, really big. And that big idea? It's the trading bloc. See, instead of every single country trying to make a separate deal with every other country, which would be a total nightmare, they team up. They form these powerful economic clubs to make trading with their neighbors way easier, faster, and cheaper. So what is a regional trade bloc at its core? Well, it's basically a group of countries getting together and saying, hey, let's all agree to play by the same set of rules. They lower or get rid of taxes on each other's goods, they streamline their regulations, and the big dream is to create one giant unified market. It's kind of like turning your whole neighborhood into one big house, where it's way easier to borrow a cup of sugar. And let me tell you, what you're seeing here is one of the most ambitious examples of this on the entire planet: the African Continental Free Trade Area, or AfCFTA. The goal is just monumental: to create a single market across the vast African continent, tearing down the complicated barriers that have held back so much economic potential for so long. Then you've got this other beast, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, over in Asia-Pacific. Now, this one is less about building a single market from the ground up and more about strengthening the links between a bunch of really diverse, already powerful economies. The main focus here is getting everyone on the same page with the rules for everything, from e-commerce to who owns ideas. Okay, this table lays it all out really nicely. It shows you that these agreements aren't all the same. You've got AfCFTA, which is all about building one massive continental market. Then there's RCEP, which is about making existing powerhouses work together more smoothly. And then you have something totally different, like the EU-Mercosur deal, which is trying to build a huge bridge between two major economic clubs on opposite sides of the world. Each one has its own unique flavor. But here's the catch: it's never that simple. When you try to build these giant economic bridges, you find out pretty quickly that the ground on one side is different from the ground on the other. And these big, grand solutions, they end up creating their own set of brand new, really complex problems that need totally new rules. The EU-Mercosur Agreement is the perfect case study. On one hand, for the South American Mercosur countries, it's this golden ticket to sell more stuff and attract investment. Amazing, right? But on the other hand, many in the EU are really worried about the environmental cost, especially deforestation in the Amazon. So you have this direct clash: powerful economic goals pulling one way and urgent green standards pulling the other. And this kind of tension, it's becoming the new normal. As this quote gets at, modern trade deals aren't just about dollars and cents anymore. They're evolving. They have to include sustainability, and they're trying to make sure that economic growth doesn't come at the expense of the planet. It's a huge shift, really, trying to align profit with principles. But even when everyone means well, the reality on the ground is just messy. And these aren't small speed bumps we're talking about, they're major roadblocks. You've got countries with wildly different economies trying to act as one. You've got huge gaps in the actual roads and ports you need to move stuff. And under all that, you have the gigantic political challenge of getting dozens of countries to just agree on the rules. It's tough stuff. All right, so we've been talking high-level, big-picture ideas. But none of those fancy pacts or political handshakes mean a thing if they don't actually make a difference where the rubber meets the road, or, where the ship meets the port. So let's zoom all the way in, from the grand vision to the nitty-gritty of what happens at the border. Just look at that number, -3.7 days. Take a second. What in the world could that represent? It's not shipping time, it's not how long it takes to make something, it's time saved. It's time that used to be completely wasted, just gone, and now it's been reclaimed. And here's the big reveal. When countries actually implement the rules from the WTO's Trade Facilitation Agreement, they can slash the time it takes to process imports by nearly 4 days. For you, that's 3.7 fewer days your package is just sitting in a warehouse somewhere. It's a massive victory, won not with bigger ships or faster planes, but with smarter rules.
And this just shows you the night and day difference. The before, a nightmare world of paper stacks, physically driving to an office to pay fees, and waiting forever for someone to manually inspect your container. The after is a digital dream. Documents are sent in before the ship even arrives, payments are electronic, and smart systems automatically clear most shipments, only flagging the risky ones for a closer look. But, and this is a huge but, having this shiniest new tech is only half the battle. This story from Jordan is a huge reality check. They have a modern system, a key piece of the puzzle, but it's been used less than 10 times in over a decade. Why? Because people didn't adopt it, the rules were confusing, and nobody coordinated. It proves a crucial point. You can build it, but if you don't get people to use it, it's just a very expensive decoration. Implementation is everything.
So, what does this all mean for the future? We've got these massive top-down trade deals on one side, and this intense bottom-up focus on every little detail at the border on the other. How do these two things come together to shape how everything moves around the planet? Well, it turns out the recipe for truly smooth trade has 3 main ingredients. You need the big agreements to set the stage. You absolutely need that practical, on-the-ground work to cut out the friction. But the thing that holds it all together, the essential ingredient, is good governance, which is just a fancy way of saying you need clear, fair rules and institutions everyone trusts. Without that, the whole thing just crumbles. And when we look ahead, the next frontier is all about technology. Imagine artificial intelligence that can instantly check shipping documents for errors, figure out the absolute best route for a truck in real time, and get even better at spotting risks before they become problems. This isn't sci-fi, folks. This is the next big leap in making trade faster and smarter. But here's the thing, and it's so important. Even the most brilliant AI is totally useless without a solid foundation to stand on. All the research shows that the real keys to success are things you just can't code. Clear and sensible rules, a stable political environment so businesses can plan ahead, and the rule of law, making sure the rules apply fairly to everybody. That is the bedrock that all of this is built on. Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question of all. We are building a world where goods move faster, cheaper, and more efficiently than ever before. But as we get better and better at removing all this friction from the system, the great challenge that's left is making sure that all the benefits, the money, the opportunities, the access to new things, don't just get stuck at the top, but actually flow out to everyone in every country. Now that is the real puzzle we still have to solve.